Hello guys, welcome to your crochet guide. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to crochet a flat circle, and I'm going to be using a single crochet stitch. And if you need a tutorial on how to do the single crochet stitch, I have that on my channel, so you can go check that out. And we're going to need yarn and a hook and a stitch marker, which is usually very helpful if you can't really count your stitches. And we're going to use scissors later. Also, you can let me know if you want a tutorial for the flat circle with the double crochet stitch. So to get started, we have to do a magic circle. Again, if you want a detailed version of how to do the magic circle, you can go on my channel and you are going to find the tutorial for the magic circle. So you put your left hand, if you're right-handed, you get your left hand, you put the tail in front of your index finger and your middle finger, then you grab your working yarn, cross it over to make this X, hold it with your pinky, grab your hook facing down, go under this first line, then over the second line, grab the second line. As you're pulling up, you twist so that you have this loop, and then yarn over, so you go under and over, and then you go through this loop. And that is your magic circle, or magic ring. I'm just going to tighten it a bit. You pull on this tail to tighten the ring. And then the first thing that we need to do is single crochet 6 inside the magic circle. So you put your hook inside the magic ring, yarn over, pull out, should have 2 loops. So yarn over and pull through both loops. That is 1 single crochet. And you have to do 6. So let's do them. That's 2 into the magic ring, yarn over, pull out, 2 loops, yarn over, 2 loops. That is 3. Also, if you lost count, you can just count these V's on top here. So that's 1V, 2V, 3V. So we have 3 single crochets. And now 4, 5, and lastly 6. Now I'm just going to close my magic circle by pulling on this tail. Make sure it's closed nice and tightly. And at the end of every round, we are going to slip knot into the first V here to close the circle. So make sure you inserted your hook under both lines inside under the whole V, and then yarn over, pull out, and then go through this loop to make a slip knot. And now also at the start of every round, we are going to chain 1. So just like that, yarn over and pull through. You got a chain. And we are just going to increase around. And an increase is basically 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So here's our first stitch that we're going to work in. We're going to insert our hook under that V right there. Then we yarn over. Then we pull out. And we yarn over again. And we go through 2. So that is 1 single crochet. Now here's when the stitch mark comes in handy to mark your first stitch. So I'm going to put it here after I did my first single crochet under the V also. Now to increase, we do 1 more single crochet in the same exact stitch. So I'm going to go under here, so the same stitch where I placed my first single crochet, and I'm going to do another single crochet. So that is an increase. And that makes the project bigger or wider or whatever. And then I just repeat that around. Here's my second V. I'm going to place 2 single crochets. which is an increase inside of it. So here's my first one, and then again in the same stitch, here's my second single crochet. I'm just going to do that until the end of the round. So I just increased in my very last stitch. So as we said, I'm just going to remove the stitch marker. I'm going to slip knot into the first chain, this one, so that I can close the circle. And I do a slip knot, and then start again. I do a chain 1, and I do my single crochet in the first stitch here. And then I place my stitch marker again. Now here, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and in the second, I do an increase. So it goes around like that. It goes single crochet, increase, and so on. So I did my first single crochet, and I'm going to do an increase here, the second stitch. That's my first single crochet. Go inside the same stitch again, yarn over, go through 2. So here's my second single crochet. So that's an increase. That's not an increase, that's just 1 per stitch, and then an increase. So you just want to go on like that. So in the next one, we do a single crochet, and then the next we do an increase. So 2 times. And you go on like that until the very end of the round. This is how our circle looks until now. So this is my last stitch. So I'm going to again remove my stitch marker. And I'm going to slip knot into this first chain of the previous round. And I'm going to chain 1. So here in this one, I'm going to single crochet in the first stitch and put my stitch marker. And in the second stitch, I'm also going to do 1 single crochet. And in this third, that's when I'm going to increase. And that's the pattern for this one. And we're basically just going to keep doing this. So the next round is going to be 4 and then an increase. And this one is 3 the next one is going to be 3 and then increase. This one is 2 single crochets and then an increase. So I do in the next one, I just increased. So this one is going to be 1 single crochet. And the next one is also going to be 1 single crochet. And then the third one is going to be an increase. So 2 single crochets in the third stitch. And it's basically just going to keep going around like that. So I'm going to do it one more time. Go into this first stitch here, do a single crochet, and then also the second one we're going to do a single crochet and increase in the third. And it's going to go around until the end of this round. Now I'm at the end of my round, so I'm going to remove my stitch marker and slip knot into the first chain, or like the first stitch of my previous round. I'm going to do a slip knot and then chain. So now you probably got the idea. You're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then increase. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets, put my stitch marker, and then the second single crochet in the next stitch. And in the next stitch also we're going to do a single crochet. So that is 3 single crochets here. And then I'm going to do an increase in the fourth one. So 2 single crochets in the fourth one. And that's how it's going to go. until the end of the round. Now I'm at the end of my round, so I'm going to, as usual, remove my stitch mark. And I'm going to join with the slip knot. And that's the circle. Of course, if you want the circle to be even bigger, you can keep going until however much you like. So the next round is going to be 4 single crochets and then an increase, and 4 single crochets and then an increase, and so on. And the round after that's going to be 5 single crochets and then an increase. But for me, I think I'm going to stop here. And here's a tip. If these edges are curling up a bit, that's pretty normal. As I was saying, if the edges are curling from here a little bit, that's pretty normal because the yarn has like a nature of just curling when you're crocheting. But you can always just put it flat on a table and then kind of unroll it that way. And now if you want to fasten up, you can slip stitch into the next stitch, just like that, just to secure it. And then you're going to grab your scissors. So here are my scissors, and you're going to cut pieces not too long, but it's long enough for sewing. So I'm going to cut about here. And then you just pull out your hook and you pull out the yarn, and then you secure it by pulling here. And then you grab your darning needle. So here it is. And I think I'm going to sew in the tail first. So I'm going to insert my tail into this, the needle. And I'm just going to randomly go through the stitches around. So I'm going to cut here because the stitches, as you can see, are pretty tight. So the yarn is probably not going to come out. And this is scrap yarn. You can use it for stuffing projects, so don't throw it out. You can even use it as a stitch marker. And then for this front piece, I'm also going to put it here first. Like I'm going to get it through the back, and then sew it around. And I'm going to cut this piece. And here is my flat circle. If you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or need any tips, feel free to send me messages in the comments, and I will definitely reply very soon. I'll see you next time.